Everyone thinks that AI equals Nvidia and GPUs. But what if I told you that the $1 trillion AI market long term is not just about GPUs anymore? The AI landscape is going towards a much broader portfolio of companies that need to make in the future possible. We will have CPUs companies. The CPU market's TAM has just increased massively lately, with a lot of companies out there saying that the TAM reaching $200 billion. We have the interconnectivity players, the networking companies that are getting more and more traction in the market space. Obviously, we have the companies that provide memberships to the AI market, bandwidth companies, and also AI infrastructure companies. So this video will focus on the companies more than Nvidia that are part of the future that will be very, very important going forward. So we just don't have a single AI winner anymore. There will be a lot of winners, and we need, as investors, to find the nuggets here and the potential investment opportunities. So the early AI boom was a lot about GPU scarcity. There was an Nvidia monopoly due to their CUDA ecosystem, their amazing AI software, and also the market really cared about the compute, the tensor performance, and the training speed. And was Nvidia was the first one here, and therefore they could really grab that massive market share and therefore becoming the biggest company in the world. But now the AI market has shifted towards inference growing faster. We have the AI agents emerging, enterprise AI becoming really distributed. You can see here in this picture here how AI are evolving, and power efficiency matters a lot more. Latency matters. You know what I told you about interconnectivity and optical solutions, etc. And there are a lot of companies in there that are very interesting to follow in the market. I will show you later. Memory movements matters a lot, and we have seen companies like SanDisk, like Micron, getting such a huge boost in their stock price because these companies have really become the bottleneck in the AI infrastructure build out. So that's something to keep in mind. And also networking matters a lot. And yeah, the key line here is the AI stack is broadening at the moment fast. And I want to hone in on one specific things that are really changing the entire infrastructure and the big bull thesis long term for other companies than Nvidia. Even though Nvidia will always be one of the biggest, best players in this space, they are already having GPUs, starting to have the Vera CPU, etc., and work a lot with connectivity and networking already. But focusing on other than Nvidia, the AI agents are fundamentally different from the old chatbot AI that all of you are probably using when you just or you are used to when you just chat in for example with a salesperson or whatever online, an automatic robot. The new AI agents, they will continuously operate, and they will call APIs, use memory, communicate with other agents, etc., and execute workflows continuously. And this put another drain on the system compared to how it's been before when you only trained large language models, for example. So we have massive inference demand, we have persistent compute demand, lower latency requirements, memory traffic explosion, and interconnect bottlenecks. And here I've found a lot of stocks with the interconnectivity bottlenecks that are trying to address this situation. And there are money to be made, be certain about that. And also, in regarding AI agents, the CPUs are becoming really critical in the orchestration of making this possible, because there are like millions of agents talking to each other, searching through the internet and through computers and old systems, old programs, trying to work similar to a human and solve difficult tasks. And doing this requires a lot of CPUs rather than just GPUs. And therefore, companies like, for example, ARM and ARM, AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, we have seen stock price of these companies increase a lot because the markets gets a lot of excitement when they see the TAM of the CPU opportunity really increasing fast. There are 4 CPU companies that I've chosen to hone in on here. And as you see, AMD, ARM, Qualcomm, and Intel is my choices. And if you follow their ticker symbols, you will see quite fast that these stocks has really skyrocketed lately, at least AMD, ARM, and Intel. Qualcomm is starting to increase really fast also. People realizing that they are a part of the CPU cycle. So I'm going to break down real fast why these companies can be part of the AI future and the specific role they play in the ecosystem and how they complement AMD in the long-term AI race. So, firstly, we have AMD. They are basically the closest we come to Nvidia in terms of a full rack scale solution through networking, through CPUs, GPUs, the whole cake, so to speak. They are AMD is actually better than Nvidia in terms of CPUs because they have licenses and IP in the x86. With x86, I mean an ISA, and that's an instruction for how the processor is supposed to behave and work, an instruction set architecture, you could say. And it's very important to have such an instruction to being able to mass produce CPUs that can do what a CPU is supposed to do, and is also the reasons why we have had firstly Intel for a long time and then AMD, because they are the only companies that have patents that are connected to the x86, so they are the only one that are being able to use that. Now we also have the ARM instruction set, which is similar. That is how Qualcomm has built Snapdragon. That's how you see Nvidia building now their Vera CPU. We have the Apple's silicon and CPUs they have built on the ARM architecture. So we have on the one hand the ARM that is very very important with the patents, and you might say, oh, why is ARM not building their own CPU similar to Intel and AMD? Well, it's different approaches. AMD is owning their IP, their patents, and they are building that through that x86 architecture. They are building their CPUs similar to Intel, while ARM, on the other hand, are using that license and let other people pay them royalties to being able to produce their own chips. Why you can see Nvidia producing their Vera CPU, why you see Apple building their own silicon CPUs, why you see Qualcomm building Snapdragon, etc. So it's very different approaches. And in the future of AI, both the ARM architecture is really, really important, especially in inference. But I would say that what people maybe don't talk enough about is the x86 and why that's special, because that's an older architecture that can are better in high performance workloads, but also better in terms of when you have an AI agent, you need to not just do one type of task. You need to, or that agent will go through old documents, old Python scripts, old data language, and it will get a lot of complicated tasks, and it will ask a lot of questions to the programming language in your computers. And having the right CPU architecture will provide the AI bots or the AI agents with more tools to let us use them in the best way. And I think the x86 architecture is much more fit in the long term to complement an AI agents and what they are supposed to do than the ARM architecture. So I think this is my bold thesis for Intel and especially AMD, who has been, for me, the company that has taken market share in the CPU market for a long time, because they have the IP and the patent and the capabilities in the x86 architecture. Therefore, I think it's a very strong both thesis long term in the CPU market. The Epic CPUs from AMD and also the next generation. And if Intel can get the Xeon and their solutions going, also, I guess they have that IP and architecture also. So that's that. If we continue here on the companies I've chosen, so AMD, that's obvious, the closest we have to Nvidia maybe. Then we have ARM. They are very, very important in the AI stack now in the future because they have that IP that they license to a lot of companies. But you should be careful because they are earning their money through collaborations and royalties. So the only reason I've not invested in ARM is because it's hard for me to see how they can get out from that kind of licensing royalty kind of position to actually, what they have said, build their own CPUs, because they, on the one hand, people are expecting ARM to keep licensing their products so they can build their CPUs. On the other hand, if they want to be as good as Intel or AMD at CPUs, they need to build their own and maybe stop licensing their products. And yeah, it's kind of hard which leg to stand on for them, but a very important company at the moment. Also, we have Qualcomm, and why do I think Qualcomm is important? Well, They are very good in incorporating the ARM technology into portable, like mobile phones, in PCs, etc. They have a very powerful AI and future roadmap around their Snapdragon. They are trying to have a roadmap to enter the data center race. They are very the capabilities of Qualcomm is very big. They have been a part of Apple and the solutions there in terms of CPUs long term, even though they are not anymore. And they have leadership in smartphones, PCs, etc. So I think if we long term hit like robots, AI agents, Internet of Things, cars get more important again, autonomy, platforms, robots, humanoids. I think Qualcomm and how they work with CPUs and the capabilities and knowledge they have, it will be a very interesting company to follow. And also we have Intel, who wants to be like the new TSMC in United States, with foundry ambitions, with close collaborations with SpaceX, with Tesla. For me, it's a lot of hype at the moment regarding Intel and the capabilities. And one of the reasons why Intel has the stock has just soared through the roof is not just that the government of USA has taken an equity stake in Intel, which is quite controversial. Is also that they are or have been the CPU leader for a long time, even though I think AMD has maybe next to them or even better in terms of CPUs at the moment. But Intel is quite up there, and they are having big ambition long term and getting traction in the CPU market again. And because CPU has been the talk of the tech leaders lately, Intel has been one of the stocks that has really benefited from this. But I do think it's more risky with the valuations at the moment to buy Intel than to buy AMD, because it's easier for me to see AMD scale their revenues with the AI businesses they have at the moment, with the whole rack scale solutions with CPUs and GPUs, while Intel we still are evaluating a lot of foundry ambitions, which is not easy to execute. We are saying that there are supposed to be a lot of revenue from Tesla, from SpaceX, etc., but we have not yet seen it. So it's a lot more looking into the future, hence why you should be a bit careful with Intel. But it's a very competent company, but it's also a very long term. Regarding the valuation of Intel at the moment, is a very long term play, I would say. So therefore, I'm not dipping my toe at the moment in buying Intel stock. But obviously, if you have done that for a couple of months back, probably you have earned a lot of money. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, I want to make a bridge here from CPU companies to my last thesis regarding the future of AI agents and the AI market, and that is the importance of interconnectivity and networking. And I picked a few companies here also that I want to show you that are very interesting. All right, so we have Credo, Astera Labs, Marvell Technology, and Broadcom, which are some of the companies that are powering the future of interconnectivity. Two of these stocks are high risk growth stocks, and two of them are, what can I say, a bit safer. Broadcom obviously is maybe the biggest one of them here. A multi now is $1 trillion company, and I think this company will be maybe the most important company in the future, almost as important as Nvidia. But starting with the smaller ones here that you might have not heard about, we have Credo Technology Group, and this is a company that provides high-speed connectivity with high bandwidth data pathways. They have solutions regarding optical connectivity, also with the copper connectivity, and something called AECs that are they are trying to have low latency and less stops and less, what can I say, blips in the internet traffic inside the data centers, and they are um, providing very modern solutions and high skilled, high technology level on their solutions. And when I have looked through all the companies here and the companies with high growth at the moment, with a position inside the data centers, inside the clusters, I think Credo is one of the most absolutely interesting companies, and therefore I've taken a small position in this company. And well, they have a scalable interconnection within the data centers with their different solutions. And I will not be more technical than that regarding Credo, but it's an interesting stock. But you have to be careful because it's high growth, and the valuation is already, I think, 30 or 40 billion dollars. And they are when companies are growing so fast, like Credo, and are quite small, they are really needing some deals with the hyperscalers. And if a hyperscaler decides to maybe pick another company to provide similar solutions, they can drop a lot of revenue fast. But if a hyperscaler decides to just, oh, we want to use Credo everywhere, that can really be a compounding effect on the gains being in such a company. So you have to like be careful. But as a part of the AI interconnectivity, I think you should know about the company's name at least. And similar is Astera Labs. So they provide PCIe and SCXL infrastructure in also in the data centers, expanding device to device and memory access. Also, they have reliable low latency links to massive memory pools, and they have software that they connect to this. I think Scorpio or something was one of their recent solutions. This stock has increased fast lately. They have tremendous growth, and I really see them being in the bottleneck of the future AI space with the AI agents, with all the task management that are required. They are also in the AI server scaling, critical links for building high performance multi GPU and CPU clusters. So they are really inside the stack here. Also, a very high growth company. Lastly, we have Broadcom and Marvell. Marvell inside the optical connectivity inside the data center, a very important company long term. Also, in the space of ACICs, helping to the big hyperscalers to build their own chiplets and chips, etc. And then obviously we have Broadcom. They are owning a lot of the internet stack and the connectivity stack overall. $1 trillion company. They make a lot of custom AI ACICs for every company out there. They have such a knowledge. They have massive cash flow, and their margins for the businesses is through the roof. And if you have invested in Broadcom for a long time, you have probably earned 7, 8, 9 times your money, because this company has Wall Street has really rewarded investors in Broadcom. And I think the story for Broadcom is not ending when I analyze how the future of the AI space of data centers, the build out the infrastructure, AI agents, CPUs, GPUs, clusters, and how we need to move data inside this. I can't see the relevance of Broadcom getting any smaller. It's probably getting even more important. But there are other players that are doing similar things to Broadcom, which might affect their positioning as a monopoly. They might get pushed a bit regarding their margins, etc. So we will see if that is something that can affect them long term. But at the moment, they are having a quite pricey valuation in terms of price through sales, and if you see what you get for your money when you invest. But I still think they deserve a high price for a lot of the things they bring to the market space at the moment, really being the most important player in the interconnectivity space. So that's that. Let's round up this. Also, I have some honorable mentions regarding the future of the AI build out and how to make everything here fit. We have some classic companies like Dell, Cisco Systems, and Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And these type of enterprise companies that do AI deployments that actually makes the data center in practice work with AI networking, building the servers, have the hybrid infrastructure. They will also be very important. And I have seen this, and that is why I've also put some money inside these type of companies, because I feel they will be very important. And compared to some other AI companies, some of companies like Dell, Cisco, and Hewlett Packard, their price through sales is quite low, because they are still priced like a legacy, their own old legacy business. But being in transition and becoming AI companies, I think there are kind of a time window there that you can make some money if you understand how their margins will be affected long term. Be aware though that companies like Cisco and Dell especially has already increased a lot in and get a lot of their market cap of the companies has increased a lot lately. So I can't assure you that the opportunity to earn money short term is still there, but long term, this is companies that are interesting to follow, that will be talked about in Wall Street because they are earning money in this new super cycle. And overall, as a final thesis here, you could say that the first AI wave was more about the GPUs, that Nvidia was first, and now the second wave that is much broader with a lot more companies that can take this opportunity with the CPUs, the networking, the AI infrastructure, the interconnectivity, the edge AI, and orchestration of all this infrastructure together. So that makes it more opportunities for you as an investors to find companies that will earn money in this super cycle. Thanks for today. That's everything. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the end.